All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live for practice and qualifying for this afternoon's live commentary coverage at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Cup Series. Already the fifth race of the NASCAR season this weekend. And as cars are just hitting the racetrack to begin the 25-minute practice session for each Group 1 and Group 2, we are going to pull up, obviously, our live leaderboard on NASCAR.com. We're going to be live all the way throughout the course of today's practice and qualifying session. We got an O'Reilly race later on this evening as well, so doubleheader Saturday, as we have most weekends throughout the course of the season. Going to be bouncing back and forth between streams so I can see you guys in the chat remote location for this weekend's live commentary streaming side of things. So never mind the fact that we don't have the usual setup as most weekends. No diecast showing this weekend, unfortunately. I do not have any diecasts with me for this weekend. I do have my Ryan Blaney sweatshirt, though, for tomorrow, so I'll be much more prepared there. 16 cars have hit the track so far in practice out of the 18 in this group. No open entries for this weekend's NASCAR Cup race, so just 36 chartered entries for this week. Shout outs to those of you watching in the chat here in the early portion of the stream. We got Marcus Villarreal, Steve, and Bam Hall already in the chat. Showing the 48 car on track, driven by Justin Allgaier this weekend for the second consecutive week. Justin Allgaier will be out of the 48 car. A little bit of a problem, it looked like. Potential flat tire for the 48 of Allgaier moments ago. Was able to nurse it back into the pits. Bright sunny day in Las Vegas, Nevada. Pretty good weather for this weekend. A little bit cooler, but relatively similar to what we had in Phoenix last weekend out in the desert. Full screen commercial break on Prime Video in the opening minutes, so we'll go over the live leaderboard. And Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson are not in this group. It does show 16 drivers have hit the track again of 18. There are still 2 drivers who have not yet made a lap yet. And that's interesting because we are 8 minutes into this 25-minute session. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. actually has the fastest time so far on the racetrack, 29.46, a little bit of a surprise there. 183.299 mile per hour average. He's put down 13 laps so far. He's still on the racetrack. John Hunter Nemechek in second. Then you got Noah Gragson third. Carson Hocevar in fourth. Justin Allgaier rounding out the top 5 in fifth. In that 48, as we just saw moments ago, he pulled off track after just 7 laps. Laps put down by Chase Briscoe, who's deep in a points hole to start this season. We'll go over that in a little bit. Daniel Suarez in 7th, Riley Herbst in 8th, Cody Ware 9th, Zane Smith rounds out the top 10. Then you got Austin Dillon in 11th, Ross Chastain 12th, Josh Berry 13th, Connor Zilic is 14th, Cole Custer 15th, Joey Logano is last of the 16 drivers in this group. That's very, very surprising. He pulled off the racetrack after just 4 laps. So not sure what's going on with that 22 car. Logano, a 3-time winner at Las Vegas, excuse me. Time for the most wins of any active driver here, alongside Brad Keselowski, who also has 3 wins. Got 3 Las Vegas, Nevada natives. Kyle Busch in the field, of course. Noah Gragson and Riley Herbst, all from the Vegas area. Only Busch a Cup Series winner here, which was back in 2009 with his lone win. Looks like Logano just re-entering the racetrack again. Josh Berry, the winner last spring, an impressive performance there, so kind of surprising he's 13th in practice to start things off right now. Some of those heavier hitters, though, I'm quite surprised that they're not up at the top of the leaderboard. Much like Chase Briscoe in that 19 car, I would expect him to be up towards the top. Granted, it is just practice, and we know Briscoe qualifies particularly well, although he will be of the first cars out on the racetrack in qualifying. That could hurt his stock there, much like it did last weekend in Phoenix as well, as he was of the early goers. The metric system basing on your recent race finish as well as fastest lap from the week before and where you're at in owners and drivers standings dictate the metric in which obviously the group you're designated in, top half of the field in group 1, back half of the field, or I should say top half of the field by way of standings in group 1, and then group 2, the alternate. Keep showing a replay of the 48 car having the tire issue right in the middle of turns 1 and 2. It's very rare that you have a tire problem in the middle of the corner and you're able to kind of keep the car steady, get to the apron. So a lot of tire failures at Phoenix last week in both the race and a few of them in practice as well, with teams being ultra aggressive with the air pressure, starting as low as they possibly can. I do like the idea of maybe testing that a bit more in practice so you kind of find your line of how far you can go and just don't go that low again when the race happens. Because if you don't have an issue and you go ultra low in practice, could end up finding yourself with a problem in the race. And that's where the points, of course, are awarded at the end of the day. 29.46, pretty good though for a practice lap. We're going to see speeds in the high 28s if I had to guess, trying to go for the pole in qualifying, which will all be on this stream. You won't have to go anywhere. Connor Burke, thanks for tuning in. Also, I see you in the chat. Showing Logano on track right now, already about halfway through Group 1. Mike Joy, Kevin Harvey, Clint Boyer in the booth. Again, Prime Video visually is where you can watch practice and qualifying ongoing at the moment.
Strategy, because you don't have any way to compare to the rest of the field as far as your fall off and all the things that go with the racetrack. But a lot of times guys would wait to let the quickness of the racetrack wear off, because when that track is clean here, it really has a lot more speed and grip. So a couple of these cars, Ross Chastain being one of them, that waited to go out on the racetrack just to try to let the quick times go away so they could get a better read on their car.
And they're both running 30-30s right now, which is as fast as anybody who's on the racetrack.
That's right.
Right now, but you're right. That PR lap is not going to show up for Logano because of going out late.
Yeah, and sometimes when you go out late like this, it does give you, you think you're getting a better read for your car, but your fast lap speed is not as good, which doesn't give you a great read for qualifying. That's why I like to go out early, because when it comes time for qualifying at this place, you better be dang close to wide open all the way around to be able to make a good lap.
Let's face it, and I agree with you. When you go out there, you're not really supposed to be comparing yourself to others anyway, because you're supposed to be paying attention to the balance of your race car and worried about your things. But it's only natural. You're going to look over there at that scoreboard and say, "Oh, we're off a little bit." So I agree with you. It's deceiving when you see that and your times are that much further off, but you definitely have to focus. Just wash that out of your memory. Don't even look at it, pay it no attention, and pay attention to the balance on your car. Right, Larry? Am I right? Help me out here, buddy.
I'm going to try to help both of you out, because what you guys were just talking about, I've talked to several crew chiefs this morning, and this is a false read in your practice runs what you know race pace is. Because remember, this is all the practice we're going to get. And you're trying to get things set for tomorrow, like those rear shop travel stops. So if you go out there and you're blistering off laps with a lot of grip on the racetrack, you're going to get false reads. So a lot of them said, we're just going to try to maintain a practice pace, race pace here in practice, where we can get all our things right for tomorrow.
You want the car as low as possible in the back and be as close to those bump stops as possible to be able to go fast. So the pace here really matters. And when it's faster, it's going to hit all those stops, and then you can get yourself dialed out by getting the car too high, by trying to keep the driver comfortable with the car off the stop.
Speaking of driver, Kevin, take me behind the wheel of that Zilich right now. I mean, he's out here, another big weekend for him, another unknown. A lot of unknowns as he's trying to figure out his race car and the speeds. I see him moving up the racetrack in 3 and 4. What do you think here with this guy?
Well, he's had a bunch of bad finishes. He ran okay at Daytona, Atlanta, and really fast at Coda. So now's when that mental game starts for a young guy like Connor, when you're buried in the points and you're going to a racetrack that you don't have a lot of experience at, and you're having to tackle this beast of a race car at this racetrack that is really fast. So it's all about the learning curve for him, because here you're going to have to run the bottom, you're going to have to run the middle, the restarts are going to be 3 wide. So there's also a good opportunity to make a mistake again, but you have to just put your head in the sand and say, okay, I'm just going to drive, try to learn everything that I can, no matter where you are in the points.
But if you look out here, he's basically one of the only cars that's running right in the wake of, who is that? Joey Logano. Learning a lot out there with that, but he's also learning how to move around, stay out of that air in front of him. I like what he's doing right now. not gonna, the scorecard's not gonna look good when you look at the lap times, but he's learning a lot behind the wheel, moving around on this racetrack. Those are the things you're gonna need when you navigate through traffic on this fast, wide open racetrack.
In a sense, he was born a generation too late because previously, I mean, he was what, ninth and second in the Saturday races last year. Back in the day, the Saturday and the Sunday car were pretty much the same except for horsepower, and the transition from one series to the other was very easy. Now he climbs into this car, which is totally different from what's going to race here this afternoon. Totally different.
Absolutely agree with you.
Well, and as we watch Zane Smith, you have to be versatile here. That was the thing that I always like to do in practice. Exactly what you see a lot of these guys doing, moving around the racetrack. You can't run directly behind the car, and the front end will push, and it'll make the handling characteristics just never workable. So you have to be able to move around the racetrack in order to get yourself through traffic.
8.5 minutes left in a practice. And listen.
But the thing.
All right, full screen commercial break again on Prime Video. Less than 10 minutes to go in Group 1 practice. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. still the fastest overall there. Noah Gregson in third behind John Hunter Nemechek in second. Then you got Carson Hocevar in fourth. Justin Allgaier rounding out the top five in fifth. Chase Briscoe is sixth. Daniel Suarez seventh. Riley Herbst eighth. Cody Ware ninth. And Zane Smith rounding out the top 10. We'll take a look at the lap averages now for the first time in this session. Fastest 5-lap average goes to John Hunter Nemechek. Zane Smith actually has the fastest 10 and 15 lap average in this group. Fastest 20 lap average goes to Chase Briscoe, and then John Hunter Nemechek still for the 25 and 30 lap averages, also the fastest, although the only drivers to make more than a 25 lap consecutive run are Nemechek and Barry in this group at least. Obviously, we'll see more drivers in Group 2 do that unless we see a caution kind of breaking the action. Bowman had his flat tire. It did cause a little bit of an abrupt stop in the action, less than 15 laps in. So if we go to the 15 lap category, you can see less than half of the 18 cars in this group have actually made a 15 lap run or more. So a lot of short runs in this practice session to start things off. Not really able to dictate who exactly is the best on the longest runs. A lot of work to be done for these teams. Maybe the balance is off one way or another. Audio is good. Okay, that is good to hear. Thanks for the feedback in the chat. We will be doing some NASCAR trivia in between practice and qualifying, and again, obviously, all that on one stream. We won't have to bounce from stream to stream. The second stream later is completely different, of course, the O'Reilly Auto Series race, and that will be at 5:30 p.m. today. Tomorrow's Cup race will begin things at 3:30 p.m. Eastern with our pre-race coverage, and obviously that will intertwine into the actual race coverage itself as well.
Live. Way. Fuel up with a 390. In Group 1 practice here. The best consecutive 10 and 15 lap averages in 20 laps. Here are the drivers who, including last year's winner, Josh Berry.
Yeah, and Clint, you pointed out as he tries to get to pit road right here. Tricky pit road to get on because it's so far around the corner. But you're going to have to do this a few times throughout the day. You're going to have to make green flag pit stops. So you better be really comfortable with your markers and all the things because you can't really see pit road as you come around the corner. So you got to maintain that speed. You see the curvature of pit road right here at the beginning and the end of this pit road. So it's tricky to get on. And it's also tricky to get your pit road speed right because that yellow line right here is that's where you have to drive all the way to. So you can drive way around the corner right there where Clint circled.
I also used that Las Vegas 4. That was a good marker for, because the depth perception is what's hard, and it's a blind corner as you're going around there upwards at 190 mile an hour. Things happen fast right there. Those markers are very important.
Well, we've seen problems on whether it's loose wheels, seems more than most, whether it's getting in or getting out, or even just getting to.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's your last path is there were 3 rounds of green flag pit stops, so it's likely to be an issue tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, the odds are it's going to happen. So you're gonna need to not give up time there. There's guys that are really good at it, and some that are mediocre at it. But when you make those green flag pit stops, it's super important to give up as little as time as possible. So either pass people or maintain your position and not lose spots.
Hometown or Noah Gregson. Always good to be home. And if you look at the bottom of the speed chart, that's where you'll find Joey Logano's fastest lap. Jamie?
Yeah, that's not typically where we see Joey Logano, especially in Las Vegas. So we don't typically see him in the first practice group either. And that's because he's finished 15th or worse the last 3 straight weeks, including that big wreck last week in Phoenix after starting on pole. But I talked to Joey before he got in the car, and he said their main deal right now is to figure out how far we can push these tires. You cannot afford to blow a tire, and it's something you guys just talked about. Something we see every race here. So pushing the envelope, seeing how far they can push it. But Joey on the bottom of the board right now has not said anything. Running as many laps as possible, working lap 28 right now, Mike.
I like what you're saying there, Jamie, and he ain't the only one. If you look right above him, it's his 2 teammates. There's Cindric and Josh Berry, we just talked about as well. Struggling with the handling of their cars, finding some speed, some grip. That's comfort. If you don't have that grip around here, the speeds that you go, you're in trouble. And it's probably not a poor issue because there's Noah Gregson third in this group.
Yeah, but that tells me that thing, obviously he went out early, but if I look over and try to find Noah Gregson to that point on a best 10, 15 or consecutive 20 laps, he's not there.
And
Good point.
today is one of those days where you don't want to be in the first group. The racetrack is going to be rubbered up and run in. The guys in the second group are going to get a much better read on the racetrack as to where their fast lap speed is, because it won't be this fast to start the second group. So you'll get a much better read for racetrack.
Let's talk about this. All right, we're struggling with the Ford camp. Who is fast? You see Suarez there. They were extremely fast off the truck with the Spire cars and the Toyotas. The Toyotas are still making grip, Kevin. Very impressive. Nemechek. He's at the top of the board, Mike. To your point, I would have thought that car would have fallen off like the others that were up there. But if you look over, best consecutive 15 and 20, folks, that Nemechek's right at the top. I think the Toyotas are fast.
And we know that on these, and really here in Las Vegas, the Toyotas have been good on the long runs. We've seen different generations of cars kind of benefit the Penske guys, but with this car, it seems like Gibbs and Kyle Larson with their previous generation car have been the dominant cars at this racetrack. Nothing's changed for the Toyotas, but we obviously have talked about the change that the Chevrolets have. Getting the balance of that car right will be determined as we go through this race tomorrow.
And on the most consecutive 20 lap averages, Chevrolet right now 6, 3, 4, and 5 with Stenhouse, Zilich, and Chastain. Right with Austin Dillon. 29.77, his quickest lap. And on this run, 18 laps. And the fall off from there is a full 2 seconds. His average for the 18 laps, 30.9. You know, it mystifies me how this track can be so bumpy in 1 and 2. Now, I understand the over the top. And really smooth in 3 and 4, because this track was built on virgin desert. This is not a reclaimed industrial site like many tracks are. It was just built from the ground, but 1 and 2, that area takes a beating.
But this corner right here can be tricky, because when you get about 3/4 of the way around the racetrack, it starts to unload the car and flatten out. Austin getting the pit road right here.
To your point, Kevin, how many times have we seen people run into trouble and run out of real estate off of Ford? That wall reaches out and grabs you quick.
And you got 2 problems off of turn 4. The 2 problems are sometimes when you're in traffic or even in general, that car will take off tight if you're not hooked on the bottom with that left front, or you spin out right there, because the car, when you get to the 3/4 mark of exit of turn 4, it wants to just start turning on its own. So you have to unwind the wheel at the exit of turn 4. So you can either drive it straight in the fence or spin out.
Look at this, and exactly what you say. You see the black rubber right here? Look what the angle that it runs right into that flat wall. You clear it right there. See that? That's the running out of real estate that you talk about. That wall needs to be moved out about 5 feet.
Yeah, the angle of that wall and the radius of the corner, that the line that you run, they don't really match.
No, the map don't work.
No.
All right, so the heroes of Group 1 practice, Nemechek, Briscoe, Stenhouse, Zane Smith, Chastain, all with great average lap runs.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fastest overall in practice so far. We're halfway home as Group 1 has just wrapped up their 25-minute session. Group 2 will be upcoming shortly. We're going to have about a 10-minute or so break period. NASCAR going to clean the track off in between these two groups, and then we'll get the heavier hitters in this back half. 183.299 mile per hour average for Stenhouse. He ended up running, it looks like 22 laps. Let me refresh the page just to make sure that that is accurate. I know when I go to the lap average screens that I have a tendency to kind of pause out the rest of the practice field. Nope, that is correct. Okay, so 22 laps were ran by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He was the fastest overall lap time of a 29.46 on his first full lap. 29.497 in second for John Hunter Nemechek, who put down 30 laps, and Noah Gragson in third, Carson Hocevar fourth, Justin Allgaier rounds out the top five in fifth. And as far as the drivers who set the most laps, we had a couple of drivers up over 30 laps ran. Austin Dillon put down 31, Zane Smith 32, Josh Berry, the winner from last spring, 33 laps. Joey Logano ran 30 laps, consecutively from front of the run to the end of it. 17 drivers in total were able to get on the racetrack for Group 1 practice. We will see the rest of them in Group 2. We'll take a quick break here. You're listening live. KRC, full flag-to-flag coverage of today's practice session. Continues qualifying soon to come at the end of the bottom of the next hour. And we'll do some NASCAR trivia again in between the two practice sessions. See if we get any interviews in between sessions on the racetrack for those who were already out there. Couple of former Las Vegas winners in that first group, Joey Logano being one of which, Josh Berry the other. Ross Chastain, a former runner-up at Las Vegas in 2022 to Joey Logano, one of his 3 wins.
On a 500, you could stream the new episode. Larry Mack? Yeah, Mike, I'm here with Justin Allgaier driving that 48 car. Justin, 5th quickest, you ran 29 laps, but what about the long run speed?
Yeah, really proud of this team. Blake Harris and this whole 48 team on this Alex Chevrolet did a really good job. And, first of all, I got to say, wishing Alex a speedy recovery. It's this position is one of the hardest positions to be in because I want my job to not ever have to be good on the racetrack, right? So we're hoping that, Alex can get back on the racetrack soon. But this team is predominantly run really well here in Las Vegas. And the car drove really well. Long run speed was where we were really good. Some of that was probably me just getting comfortable in the short run, the Cup Series car versus the O'Reilly Series car. So really proud of everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, Hendrick Engine Shop, everybody that is part of this. I think we got a really good Chevrolet for tomorrow's race.
Seems to be all about the B's. Balance and bumps. What about the bumps in 1 and 2?
On the long run, they're not nearly as bad because your pace is slow down, obviously. But qualifying is going to be tricky, and I think that anytime you're on low air, I think it makes it even harder, right? So these cars are fun. They're a blast to drive, but they're definitely a little hard to drive whenever they're on full speed.
Yeah, Mike, we sure hate what's going on with Alex Bowman, but I think Justin Allgaier is the perfect driver to be in this car. He will take what this car will give him tomorrow. Agree, Larry. He's not run a Cup race here at Vegas since 2015. But
Yep.
Hope he has a good day tomorrow. And again, I hope Alex Bowman is back with us soon.
All right, so there's the word with Justin Allgaier, replacement driver for Alex Bowman. 2nd consecutive week that Bowman will miss a race in full. He did get points at COTA, just a couple of them, because he ended up finishing at the back of the pack. He started the race, was filled in for Myatt Snyder, but did not start last week at Phoenix. Anthony Alfredo drove the 48 car then, and Justin Allgaier this week. So 3 different drivers have been in that 48 car in the 3 weeks of Bowman having his illness. So hopefully he gets back in the car soon, and he can get cleared to go. And as practice continues on, if you're just tuning in for the first time, Group 1 wrapped up. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the fastest overall in this group. And when we get to Group 2, we're going to have a lot of our heavier hitters there. I did put up a chat poll for who you think is going to qualify on the poll for today's race. 67% of 18 votes so far taking somebody other than Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe, or Denny Hamlin. Those are personally my three favorites to go for the poll. They've all scored polls at Vegas before in the next-gen era, and as for Briscoe and Hamlin last year, they dominated on the mile-and-a-half, so when it came to qualifying, both Briscoe and Hamlin were on the front row for the fall race last season. Hamlin was the pole sitter, and Denny also went on to get the win. That was the most recent Cup Series victory for Hamlin, was his 60th career win in the fall Vegas race last year. That race, of course, locked him into the championship four. Prime Video taking care of practice and qualifying. I think practice is actually airing live on Prime Video's YouTube channel, or Prime Sports' YouTube channel. But qualifying will not. So if you're unable to watch, obviously we'll be live right here as we are every weekend for Cup, O'Reilly, and Truck Series action. As far as the races across those three series go, and then Cup practice and qualifying obviously as well.
This afternoon, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series rolls the dice for 300 miles of racing. Las Vegas. Racing begins at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on the CW.
All right, Group 1's practice session is finished. Jamie.
Clint, you guys were talking about John Hunter Nemechek and the Toyotas and how well you were able to hang on. Best 15 lap, best 20 lap average. You had to give up something early, though. Is that just the balance here at Vegas?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Part of getting through the bumps is your ride height, right? And hitting stops in the rear and how much you can take versus how much is too much and breaking the back of the car loose. So I feel like we did a really good job there to start practice. Group 1 is normally way faster than Group 2, fast time-wise, but I feel like we learned a lot during that practice, put a lot of effort in over the off season, and finally getting to some racetracks where we can see where we stack up. So it's been a lot of work for me on the driver's side, trying to learn some different things this year on how to drive these cars for the setups that we're bringing to the racetrack and things of that sort. So excited with the speed. I feel like we got to get a little bit better on the long run speed, in my opinion. I feel like I fell off a little bit too hard there at the end. So and we ported right rear tire there. So definitely have a little bit of work to do there, but overall happy with the speed. Happy to have Tri-State on board our Toyota Camry this weekend, and looking forward to qualifying. It's going to be a fast one today for sure, and then hopefully we can get a good qualifying spot and go race really well tomorrow.
All right, so far so good. That's John Hunter Nemechek, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, the biggest name in Vegas for decades has been Elvis. He held court at the International, now the Westgate Hotel, had the showroom named for him. And Carson Hocevar tomorrow has a very special fire suit.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I love it. Well, he's going to be Elvis. And the fire suit, look at that, there's a fringe that's painted on it. It just took me, it's going to have sew-on fringe, like one of Elvis's patented jumpsuits that he wore on his Vegas act.
The rumor has it they're going to have tassels hanging off of it, Kevin. I like it. Do you like it? I don't. Halloween's not until October.
Oh, my gosh. Do you ever have any fun? I do like, look at the task. Look at this. Look at this. Love it. Kevin does not.
Elvis has left the building.
Kevin Harvick not having fun. He's like, the racetrack is made for business, and business is where this has come from. Dean Tate, thanks for tuning in. Makes sense for Hendrick Motorsports. Yeah, Justin Allgaier in the car this weekend definitely makes sense. I'm surprised that he wasn't the replacement driver last week and they dubbed for Anthony Alfredo there. Probably just giving Alfredo an opportunity. Obviously a good one at that, to make his first start with the organization. Does a lot of sim testing at Hendrick Motorsports as well, does Alfredo. But Justin Allgaier, we've seen him as a replacement driver actually for Alex Bowman before. Both him and Josh Berry were splitting rides for Bowman, both when Bowman had his back break and then towards the end of the 2022 season when he was out with a concussion after a crash in Texas. Justin Allgaier also had replaced him there. But Allgaier, as mentioned by Mike Joy in the broadcast, is something I found in my notes earlier today, is that this is the first Cup start for Justin at this track since 2015. He has two prior starts here, finished 31st in both 2014 and 2015 in his two prior starts at Vegas. Hopefully he can do better than that tomorrow, and pretty good speed in practice to start things off here today despite that sketchy moment early in the session. Show up, run 5th in your first Cup race of the season. Pretty solid. Got a list of some drivers who will be in Group 2 practice here in a matter of moments. Former Vegas winners include Kyle Larson, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, several others. Green flag has been displayed, so practice is going to be beginning shortly. Prime Video is where you can watch practice and qualifying all of the first half of the NASCAR Cup Series season. The Fox and the Prime Video race schedules for the start of the year, all of those races will be Prime Video for practice and qualifying, minus the All-Star race when we do get to All-Star race weekend. That will be back on Fox and that group of networks.
Right now. We go
Tonight at Raceway there in Bakersfield.
Who you race?
Super late model. Just a bunch of drivers, bunch of race drivers.
Your son's one of them, right?
Yeah, he's got no chance.
Oh yeah, I got a bounty. If he moves you,
You
extra.
better not talk him into wrecking my car.
I didn't say wreck you. I said make an attempt at moving you. Extra bonus if he moves you for the win.
So tonight, the Cars Tour West is at Bakersfield, Kevin Harvick's Kern County Raceway there.
That's right.
And both Harvicks are racing, and
Look at this. I mean, put the bumper to me right there, and
To me, like he drove across his nose.
yeah, either way.
Now look at this, folks. I mean, his son, his own son. Very greedy person, Kevin Harvick.
That's the way it goes. You know, those are real life lessons, and yeah, and then I made him stand with me.
sure, he did. So he will remember that one.
Come on, Keelan. I'm pulling for you. It's moving. You owe him one.
The Group 1 drivers are in gray. The Group 2 drivers will show up on white. Our pylon will show the fastest individual lap of the session, and we'll update you on the consecutive lap averages as we get there. This has not been Ryan Blaney's racetrack. He's finished 32nd or worse. Yikes, in the last 3 races here.
I hear what you're saying, Mike, but I'm here to tell you, I don't think he's racing there. He has a fast car. We know that. I think the results haven't shown the performance. Always fast on these racetracks. That's a lot of cars and able to move around. Kevin, you tell us you got to be able to move around and go where they're not. Nobody does that better than Ryan Blaney. Just the results aren't there.
Twice he spun and hit the wall, and the other time he got taken out.
There you go.
Well, he got a lot of practice at it last week.
Yes,
A couple issues on pit road as you see Chase Elliott go by. I think Blaney saw that he was taking off a little bit faster, and all that talk about the second session being slower went right out the window.
Now, truth is, if I was Ryan Blaney after watching that first round of practice with my teammates, all 3 teammates were in that, and they were at the bottom of the scorecard, I would be a little bit nervous. And I hope that that's not what we're seeing right there as a 9-car flashes by him with his teammate Kyle Larson coming in tow. These Hendrick cars, we talked about that at the top of the
Looking
show.
good.
Really shown any muscle here so far this year. I think that changes this weekend. New body for him, still a lot to figure out, but this is a good racetrack for him.
And it's been Kyle Larson's, I mean, one of his best racetracks. And he's absolutely dominated here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway over the past few years. So this is the real test to see where that 5 car and the rest of Hendrick Motorsports is as far as figuring out the new car. They're going to figure it out. It's just a matter of when they get it all right.
And he's running the O'Reilly race today too, so looking forward to seeing what he can do there. You know that's the confidence, right? All right, where do you want to run that O'Reilly's car? Let's go to Vegas.
In the next-gen car, look at here on the board. Look how many Toyotas are in that sheet, too. I really felt for Christopher Bell last week. You heard in his interview, that's a driver who was heartbroken. You know, he didn't give that race away. It got taken from him. He was the best car.
And it looked very similar to Denny Hamlin at the end of last year. You took those 4 tires, never made it back to the front. And we saw that happen to Denny Hamlin at the end of the year. So it's a tough scenario to decide how many cars are going to take 2 tires, stay out, and you just never made it back to the front.
We're really kind of picking up where we left off last year. Last year, these Toyotas were extremely fast week in and week out in the playoffs, and look at them. I mean, You know, I was wondering when the Gibbs cars were going to show up. Obviously, Reddick winning those first three. That's tough, man. Don't they get those cars from last boss? All right, now look at the side of that car as it comes around. All right, we're gonna move. Yeah, look at the side of that car. Everybody talks about the number placement on these cars. Move it back where it used to be. Here's a sponsor that's taken full advantage of the forward number placement by just drawing out their name all the way down the side of the car. I love it when a sponsor has a sense of humor to do something like that.
Well, and I think that it really should be the team's choice. If you don't want to put the number in the front, put it in the middle of the door. Wherever you want.
Put it anywhere between the wheels.
People don't like rules. Just
I think we left off. We need one more. The truth is, with transponders, we don't even need numbers in the cars. That's for the fans.
Oh,
so
you gotta have
fans
numbers,
one,
Mike.
and let them put it anywhere. That's your identity. It is, but scoring doesn't pay any attention to what they paint on that car or decal it with.
Spike Joy against numbers on race cars. That's what I was getting at out of there. I was a little confused at what he was trying to back up with that opinion. All right, so Christopher Bell, top of the leaderboard in practice. Sorry for there was a little bit of a lag spike there, about a 30-second period or so, but we are still live. Obviously, didn't lose complete connection. As far as the practice session going so far, the Toyotas to the top of the leaderboard here in Group 2. Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin are now first and second, about a 1/10 of a second difference to the 1,000th of a second between those two. Christopher Bell fastest overall. Of course, he was of the quickest two cars last week at Phoenix, finished in second, won a stage, had a lot of stage points in another. I think he was second and first in the first two stages and then finished second. 29.338 is the lap time to beat right now in practice, 184.061 miles per hour, pretty quick. Early in this session, Denny Hamlin at 29.438 in second. Bubba Wallace is third in this group. He's fourth overall. William Byron is seventh overall, fourth in the group. And then fifth of this group of drivers is Kyle Larson, who is eighth in the overall practice leaderboard, fifth in Group 2. Penske not looking good this weekend. Last week they dominated practice, qualifying, and the race by way of speed. Ryan Blaney, 33rd overall in practice right now. His teammates, Austin Cindric, 28th. Joey Logano is dead last, 35th of 35 that made a lap so far. So it is a very interesting time for Penske this weekend, which is shocking because Josh Berry won the spring race here last season, a Penske affiliate at the Wood Brothers. And even he was struggling in practice as well, as we see him down on the leaderboard in 29th. So Fords are going to have to get to work. The Toyota's looking very good on the 1.5 miles, as we saw late last year. Kyle Larson, obviously a threat on the 1.5 mile tracks with this next-gen car. He has 6 1.5 mile track wins. He's led over 1,700 laps, and that's just over the course of 4 years' worth of 1.5 mile races in the NASCAR Cup Series level. William Byron's won a couple of these. Chase Elliott won at Kansas last year for Hendrick Motorsports in the fall. But Denny Hamlin, he's been leading a lot of laps at this style of racetrack. Christopher Bell, no shock to see them first and second. And they very well could be competitors for the pole a little bit later on as well. About 15 minutes to go in Group 2 practice as of right now, 10 minutes in. A little too early to go over the lap averages at the moment. Just a reminder, we will be having some NASCAR trivia in between practice and qualifying today.
But Hamlin to the top of both of those charts. Wallace on the best consecutive 10 and consecutive 5. That's Hamlin.
They look very similar.
Same color, but.
Yeah, and you hear Denny all the way out of the gas right there, and you heard Bubba Wallace with that partial throttle strategy through the middle, and a lot of that just depends on how your car is handling. You hear him out of the gas, but I mean, it's also, you got to have these different theories and ideas in your head to be able to be versatile, like we talked about in the first practice. So knowing what your car does when you get all the way out to the throttle, and the difference of being partial throttle over the bumps, running the bottom, running the top, you got to have all those things in the back of your head. But by the time that practice is over,
Jamie?
NASCAR Hall of Famer, Las Vegas native, Kurt Busch. What an awesome weekend for you. You look at Tyler Reddick's car, that is actually in honor of you and one of your paint schemes that you ran. You got the shoes to match, Kurt. How special is this for you?
It really hits strong. Right? The team just always does genuine things. And with the crew and the sponsorship and just a fun vibe, everything going strong right now. I'm happy to ride Tyler's wave. But to see the paint scheme out there, like, I feel like I'm digging down into Kansas, trying to come up on the checker flag. Yes, that was an awesome battle with Larson. I loved it. And that's the last win. And now here we are in Vegas with the commemorative paint scheme and the Jumpman brand. Again, 2311, always doing fun little things.
That was a great moment at Kansas. There it is, Kurt.
I love it. No, it's like, man, I want to get back out there. Hang on, I gotta go get my helmet.
Hey, we've seen that happen before. Kurt, it's great to see you. Congratulations on everything, especially being a NASCAR Hall of Famer back in your hometown now.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's pretty special.
Mike?
Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, that elephant pattern on just above the sole of Kurt's shoes and all the way down the side of Tyler Reddick's car.
That's a cool
the Jordan brand.
Well, I love it, Mike.
That is cool.
And that was
one hell of a wheelman right there. Old Kurt could drive a race car.
So we see Reddick right there. He's 10th quick right now as we go to Kyle Busch, and both of these cars, one on the bottom, one in the middle. You've got so many different options here, and the 8 car of Kyle Busch, he definitely needs to have something good happen. I was able to talk to Kyle last week. We'll see in the pre-race show tomorrow. But I mean, and he was pretty open about where their cars were and how they were handling. You see his finishes right there. I think that, you know, they're probably a little better than the car actually ran at those events. But you see Reddick run right up on the back bumper.
Well, Phoenix, they had a cut tire, hit the wall not once but twice, and yet he rebounded, got a lucky dog, got back on the lap, and fought that thing to a 17th place finish. I mean, I would say Kyle Busch is working harder behind the wheel than he probably has in his whole career. It's just the results, the end results just aren't showing it off enough.
Yeah, and you see right here, Reddick has moved all the way up to the top, back to Kyle Busch and everything that they've been trying to work through. And I asked him, I always thought Kyle was one of those guys that knew everything about his car, what springs were in it, shocks were on it, everything that was going on. And I asked him, I said, hey, where are you at with this car? Do you know the springs and shocks and bump stop loads and all the things that go with it? And he's like, no. And that to me is one big difference in what you could do with the old car compared to what you can do with this particular car from a driver's standpoint. And you see right here, SVG, he's another one who's had a good start to the season. He's been very consistent on the ovals. We've seen him up front, leading laps, spinning out, rebounding, doing all the things that he's done this year. But off to a great start, put himself up in the top 5 in points coming into Vegas. So
Weathering a storm. He's really weathered the attrition side of these first few races, and the points definitely prove that. Came out of the hotel this morning. There's a Lamborghini with that same wrap on it right out there. But yeah, look at his start to this season. Well, spinning out doesn't affect the results. Well, not all that much. A little help on that one, but still rebounded for an 11th place finish. He is developing, I think, into a better oval track driver than anyone expected.
Well, that's where he needed to grow. You know, we knew he dominated the whole world saw him dominate the road courses last year, but he was not there at all in any way, shape, or form on the ovals. You know, a year under his belt, he's a lot better, and case in point where the points are. That's exactly what he needs.
You know, we talk.
All right. We should be back up and running now. Thank you for everybody that stayed tuned in. Not sure exactly where we are for practice and qualifying side of things, so let me get Prime Video logged back up and running. Looks like we are just barely into qualifying, so we're going to be skipping some trivia here on the channel. And we will be jumping into quali. And let me get that up and running here shortly. Prime Video, but I believe we are back. Here you find. Thank you, Sharik B. Raymond Joss, Marcus Villarreal. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Yep, Christopher Bell ended up fastest in practice overall. Denny Hamlin, second quickest. We have our first 4 drivers who have completed a lap in qualifying. Make that 5 now. Chase Briscoe, the fastest overall. And he was, I believe, the very first driver who was out on the racetrack for qualifying. Now I got to get my notes back up. I'm in a scrambled mess here. Let's see. Las Vegas. All right. So Chase Briscoe, first on the board, 29.343, 29.376 for Justin Allgaier. He is currently second. Then Austin Cindric is third with a 29.690. Noah Gragson a 30.059 in fourth. Cole Custer just wrapped up his lap, a 30.250 in fifth. Josh Berry is on the racetrack right now, and as for Josh Berry, he won the spring race last year. So trying to go for back-to-back spring Phoenix victories. Fourth on the board for Berry, 29.745. Rookie Connor Zilic going to be making his Las Vegas debut. That is the next car on track for qualifying, so we're 7 out of 36. And we'll see where Connor Zilic will end up. Finished second and ninth in both races here in the O'Reilly Series last season. Was Zilic. Best finish for the drivers who did participate already in qualifying. We didn't get a chance to get through. Chase Briscoe is the best finish at Las Vegas. 2 different times of finishing fourth. He finished fourth in the fall race last year after starting second and leading 57 laps. Cole Custer, best finish in 2020, finished 16th. 31st both times for Allgaier. First start at the racetrack since 2015 in the Cup Series. Austin Cindric, 2 different times, has finished 6th place. He won a stage in last year's spring race, along with one of those 2 6th-place finishes. Noah Gragson, 6th in 2024 spring race. Last fall, he finished 13th at his home track. And as for Connor Zilic, who just qualified again, making his Las Vegas debut. Third for Zilic on the leaderboard of our first 7 qualifiers, 29.478 is where he ended up. That lap time that Chase Briscoe put down was very similar to the fast lap time that Christopher Bell had in practice, which he ran a 29.3. I would assume in qualifying that pace is going to quicken. Briscoe was the first driver out on the racetrack, so it's going to be very hard for him to kind of keep that lap time up there, even though he's a great qualifier and should have a lot of speed this weekend. Same thing as last week. He went out, I believe, third in qualifying last week at Phoenix, and he ended up middle of the road. So we're probably going to see that time be bested. It'd be a very rare occasion for him to be the first driver out and stay in first. Ross Chastain, the teammate to that of Connor Zilic, now just posted a lap. Former runner-up for Chastain at Las Vegas. It was a fall race of 2022. He has 5 top 5 finishes and 6 top 10s in the 8 next-gen races here. And as Chastain goes to the top of the leaderboard with a 29.338, he now has the time to beat. Average speed of 184.062 miles per hour on that lap for Ross. So outside of Chastain, on to Cody Ware, who will be the 9th driver to make a lap in qualifying. And for Cody Ware, going into this qualifying session, best finish at Las Vegas is 21st for him. And that came in the 2024 fall event. 10th career Cup start for Cody Ware this weekend at Vegas. Rick Ware Racing. And he will end up 7th with a 29.770. Daniel Suarez is going to be up next. Suarez, a former runner-up at Vegas, and that came in the spring race last year to that of Josh Berry. Led some laps along the way. Finished second and third in 2 out of the last 3 races at Vegas. That third came in the fall race back in 2024. Those both being with Trackhouse, which obviously driven by Chastain up at the front. Chastain had a win in the Coca-Cola 600 last year on a 1.5-mile racetrack. His only win of 2025, so not rare to see him run up towards the front of 1.5-mile tracks elsewhere. Mentioned already about that great track record here at Las Vegas. All right, we're going to take a quick break here while we await them to come back from commercial for live qualifying on Prime Video, which visually is where you can watch today's session. So we'll continue things here shortly. 9 drivers into qualifying, 27 still to go. And I'm going to leave the chat poll up, which we're at 43 votes for right now, as for who you think is going to qualify on the poll for today's race. Briscoe is not going to be one of those drivers, although he is on this list. He was the first driver out there. 14% of you voted for Chase Briscoe, and he is currently second after 9 drivers. Kyle Larson has yet to go in the session, and obviously Denny Hamlin will be later in the session as well. 51% for somebody other than those 3. Last time we checked that poll, though, other was at 67%, so that has dropped a bit as more votes have been casted. So just awaiting Daniel Suarez. After Suarez will be Zane Smith, then Ty Dillon, John Hunter Nemechek, Joey Logano, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Dillon, Riley Herbst, and Carson Hocevar will be the following 9. Long ways to go yet. Pick Denny Hamlin to win the poll. Well, we'll see if he can do it. He was a pole sitter last fall, and he was second fastest in practice, so that's promising. I'd probably say of those listed in the chat poll, I would say Hamlin is the favorite for me personally. If I had to adjust it, I would put Christopher Bell in there instead of Chase Briscoe, since Briscoe already is not on the poll. And I should have known better with him being the first car out on the track, not to throw him up there, even though he was on the pole last fall. Or I should say on the front row last fall. And we'll see Briscoe on the front row for a lot more races this season, I'm sure, as well. Once he can get into that second group of practice and qualifying. Down to the apron through the trial oval for Suarez, 194 miles an hour into turn 1. And the idea here for Las Vegas qualifying, you want to be standing on that gas, try to put as close to a 100% throttle all the way around this racetrack. Suarez was able to do so successfully through 1 and 2. Not quite through 3 and 4 as he goes to the bottom of the racetrack, had to dip in the throttle just a bit. Still a pretty good lap going for Daniel Suarez anyway, and he will jump to the top of the leaderboard. 29.279 for Daniel Suarez as he tries to go for his first pole at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Almost 600ths of a second faster than that of Chastain, his former teammate. On to Zane Smith. Finishes of 6th, 11th, and 24th in the last 3 races for Zane Smith, and that was in the last 3 races this season, not necessarily at Las Vegas. Best finish for Las Vegas for Zane Smith, 16th in 2024 in the fall race. This will be his 5th career start at the track. Going to be faster than his teammate Noah Gragson, the Las Vegas native, and actually jumps up faster than anybody who's gone out so far. Pretty impressive start to the season for Smith. We'll see how he'll hold on to this early season success. 29.252 for Smith. He finished in the top 10 in the first 2 races of the season, one of only 6 drivers to do so at both Atlanta and Daytona. Backed that up with an 11th at COTA, and last week wasn't that great at Phoenix. Had a decent run going before getting caught up in one of those couple of Joey Logano-related accidents in the middle of Stage 2. But again, a 29.252 top time for Zane Smith so far. Ty Dillon in the number 10. Best finish of 10th in 2020 in the spring race at Vegas. 14th career Cup start already at Vegas for Ty Dillon. Some of those running part-time in the Cup Series, some full-time. 30.607. Going to be last of the 12 drivers so far in qualifying for Ty Dillon, so not great. He's going to be starting very deep in the field. About 8 mile per hour average slower than that of Zane Smith, who went out just before him. On to John Hunter Nemechek, who's a former O'Reilly Series winner at this racetrack. His best Cup Series finish was 9th in the fall race of 2024. So we'll see if Nemechek can build on that. 7th in qualifying, 29.493. Nemechek was second fastest in Group 1 in practice earlier. but 7th in his group for qualifying. Joey Logano is now on the racetrack. He was dead last in practice of those that participated, so he's got a lot of work to go for race trim tomorrow. But qualifying trim, I think he'll still be quick. We've seen those Penske Fords struggle on the mile-and-a-half tracks in practice, and then by qualifying, they qualify well in the race and run halfway decent. Joey Logano looking for better than decent. Joey is a four-time Las Vegas winner, most of any active driver at this racetrack. 2 of those 4 wins coming in the next-gen era. In 2022 in the fall race, and he also won a fuel mileage fall race in 2024. Pretty fast lap for Joey Logano in qualifying, but not fast enough to get to the top of the leaderboard. 29.376, 5th place for Logano, right between Briscoe and Allgaier. So 5th out of 14 drivers who have completed a lap. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 3rd overall in practice. He was fastest of Group 1 in practice. Pretty impressive there. He's got 4 career top 10s at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. His best finish was 3rd in 2020 in the spring race. Last season finished 14th and 18th in both races in 2025 out here in Nevada. So on to this. All right, we'll see where that lap time just ended up. Missed it. 7th. 7th for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 29.387. Middle of the road for as many drivers who have made a lap so far. Austin Dillon in the 3 car for RCR will be next. Best career finish also in the 2020 spring race for Austin Dillon, 4th, 1 spot behind Stenhouse in that race. No top 10s though in the last 6 starts at Vegas for Austin Dillon. Only 1 of them in the next-gen era, and that was the fall race of 2022, where he was able to get a top 10. That's a pretty solid qualifying lap, though. 29.250, 184.615 mile per hour average, and that tops Zane Smith by just 2 1,000ths of a second. And now Austin Dillon, straight to the top of the leaderboard. Riley Herbst, Carson Hocevar, and then the next commercial break. And as for Herbst, he is a former O'Reilly Series winner at Las Vegas. And this is his home track. Las Vegas, Nevada native. Finished 17th and 19th in his rookie season in both races at Vegas last year. 17th came in the fall. That was the best of the 2. And for Riley Herbst, he has a pretty decent qualifying lap, 6th with a 29.363. Right behind a fellow Toyota driver, Chase Briscoe. So 2311 Toyota right behind a JGR Toyota, and on to Carson Hocevar. Hocevar next on track has the best finish here of 15th in the 2024 spring race. This will be his 6th start in his Cup career at Vegas. He had a top 10 in 3 out of the 4 stages ran last year. So stage 1 and stage 2, Carson Hocevar scored stage points in 3 of the 4 stages. Didn't get great finishes in both. Kind of faded on the longer run, but the short run speed was there. Very good on the restarts, and we saw how much better that team got on intermediate tracks into the late spring, early summer last year. So if they can translate that to this season, after a decent run last week, one of their cars, Michael McDowell for Spire Motorsports, getting a top 10 at Phoenix. We'll see what this week has for Carson. 29.356, and Hocevar is 6th in qualifying. 6th out of 18. His teammate Michael McDowell actually last year for Spire got the pole in this spring race as well. So we'll see what kind of speed he'll have for the spring race this year when it comes to trying to go for the pole time. Halfway through qualifying, 18 down, 18 to go. Next 9 will be Kyle Busch, followed by Chase Elliott, AJ Allmendinger, Todd Gilliland, Eric Jones, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Preece, Chris Buescher, all 3 RFK Fords in a row. And then Shane Van Gisbergen will be after them. So the 3rd of 3 Las Vegas natives, Kyle Busch, will be the next driver to make a qualifying lap. Only one win at his home track for Kyle Busch. That was in 2009, the lone race at Vegas that year. Last fall, he finished 8th at this racetrack. Only one top 10 finish so far in the 4 races ran in 2026 for Busch. So we'll step on out of here for a quick second. Qualifying continues live right here on the channel, obviously on Prime Video visually for those of you wanting to know where you can watch that as well. We're halfway through qualifying as awaiting the O'Reilly Series race a little bit later on.
A bass boat, baby. Yeah, I guess it is now. Used to be a hot rod. Had all that metal flake, but yeah, they put it in the gel coat. I love on those boats. That's pretty awesome. More the better. It's going to be a good weekend for him too. Teammate we just talked about, but Denny Hamlin, the confidence is his. I've seen all these Gibbs cars, seen it enough already, Kevin. They definitely have a lot of grip in their cars. They've been having a lot of grip, a lot of success with these Toyotas, but I think it's going to be the Gibbs cars this time to better the 2311.
And we heard Larry talk at the beginning of the show how nothing has changed from last year. The tire, the Toyotas haven't changed. The Chevy has a different body. But for those Toyotas, they are basically going off the notes they had in the fall. They were really fast then, and they've showed back up the same way.
So we resume with Kyle Busch, the 19th driver to take time. 2009 winner here. Also has 2 poles on his home track. He grew up about 20 miles from here and cut his teeth racing at Las Vegas Bullring right outside Turn 1.
Yeah, well, his teammate's sitting on the top of the board, so we know that RCR car has the capability to run the speed of one lap. It's just a matter of the balance and everything for Kyle as to where they're different from the 3 car. But right now, you see to the green. Oh, big lift.
Look where he's out on the racetrack, a little lower than Austin Dillon. He went across them bumps, bounced the car, had to lift. Now, he was a 1/10 and a half faster than Austin in practice.
Yeah, and he
Another lift.
He had to lift again into turn 3. So the front end of that car not going in the right direction for him.
Nope, 11th right now, 29.45. 2/10 off pole.
On to Chase Elliott in the number 9, as you heard there from Kyle Busch, about 2/10 off of his teammate Austin Dillon for the pole time. Busch is currently 11th with a 29.455. Chase Elliott, only one top 10 at Vegas in the next gen era. This has not been a great racetrack for him. Probably the worst of the mile-and-a-half tracks, statistically speaking. He does have a runner-up finish at this racetrack, but that came in 2021 with the Gen 6 car in the fall race of that year. And last season, obviously, both finishes well outside the top 10 at Vegas. We'll see if Chase Elliott can rebound, have a good run finally at this racetrack. It's been so long since that has happened. But good qualifying effort. 4th place currently, though we still have almost half the field to go, so I'm not sure if that's going to be able to hold on for a top 10 time or not. We'll have to wait and see. 29.289 on that lap for Chase. He was 30th in practice, so struggle there as well. 184.37 mile per hour average on his qualifying lap. AJ Allmendinger, a few top 10s in his career at Vegas, one of which came last season in the spring race where he finished 8th. His career best is 6th in 2015. Back with JTG Doherty Racing that year, in which he got his career best at Las Vegas. Now leave the chat poll open until we get to the next commercial break, and then we'll finalize our poll. So not a bad lap for Chase Elliott. As for AJ Allmendinger, not great for him. 15th, 29.530 for AJ. Todd Gilliland in the 34 car will be the last of the Front Row Motorsport Mustangs to go out. 21st in last year's fall race for Gilliland, his best, so still searching for his first top 20. His track history. The NASCAR Cup Series event races here. And Gilliland going to end up in the back half of the field as well for qualifying, 29.493. Not the strong suit for Gilliland is qualifying. Always tends to race better than where he ends up on Saturday. Tied John Hunter Nemechek for 14th to the same exact thousandth of a second in the positioning order. Eric Jones coming off a 10th place run last weekend at Phoenix. Has a career best finish of 8th 3 different times at Las Vegas. So we'll see if he can parlay that into back-to-back top 10 finishes here this weekend. And he does have a former top 10 run in this 43-card Legacy Motor Club at this track. So it's been done before by the current driver, the 43, in this same exact car. Obviously, that would be Gen 6 as well. Gen 7, excuse me, as well. Jones has only driven in the next-gen era with Legacy Motor Club, and a pretty good and respectable qualifying lap. 29.285, fourth quickest for Eric Jones in quali. Austin Dillon still has the top time. That time to beat is a 29.25. 184.615 mile per hour average on his qualifying lap, and he has survived to now. 23 drivers in, still got to get through 36. 3 straight RFK Fords upcoming. First, Brad Keselowski, who's a 3-time Las Vegas winner. Finished 10th in the fall race here last season. The last 3 runs at Vegas, not bad for Brad Keselowski, but not to the standards in which he had dominated races here in the past with Penske. And Brad's going to end up outside the top 10 on his qualifying lap, so not great there. 29.504 for Brad, 17th. Is where he's going to end up on the speed charts currently. His teammate Ryan Preece is now on the racetrack. Preece had a top 10 in both races here last season. The spring race he finished 3rd, finished 9th in the fall. And those are his 2 best finishes and only career top 10s at Las Vegas. Last year was Preece's first year with RFK Racing. Won the Clash in the exhibition race at the start of 2026. A little bit outside of the Chase top 16 in the early season point standings, but we'll see if he can rally back. He was hovering right around that 16th to 20th in points all of last year, so looking to take that small step forward so he can make his first Chase appearance. Great in qualifying, much better than his teammate, 29.205, top of the leaderboard for Ryan Preece with a 184.9 mile per hour average. And that bests Austin Dillon out by just over 0.04 of a second. 11 drivers to go in qualifying. Obviously, Brad maybe not 100% with that broken femur that he sustained in that skiing accident back in December. Could have maybe hindered the qualifying lap because you usually don't see teammates that far apart from one another. Brad in 18th currently, and again, Preece in 1st. So we'll see if Buescher will be more like Preece's lap time for his lap. 2020 of the fall was the last time Chris Buescher had had his best finish here at Las Vegas, which was 9th. Last year, he finished 12th and 13th, just outside the top 10, was running right around where Brad Keselowski ran for most of those races. Race actually the better of the RFK Fords in both Vegas races last season. Chris Buescher right behind his teammate Ryan Preece with a 29.245, 400s off of the 60. So Preece is 1st. Buescher, his teammate, in 2nd in qualifying so far. Brad definitely just missed it. And we're down to just 10 drivers to go. Shane Van Gisbergen going to be up next. 3 top 11 finishes so far this year for SVG. He had a top 10 in both Atlanta and COTA. A runner-up, of course, at COTA. Scored a lot of points that day in the stages as well. He is still 5th in the point standings after 4 races. So a very, very strong and respectable start. And we'll see how strong his qualifying run's going to be. And top 10 so far, and actually bested his teammate Ross Chastain and Connor Zilic. And qualifying, 29.294 for SVG. So again, 8th for him. And we're down to 9 drivers to go in qualifying. And last year's pole sitter, Michael McDowell, is going to be on deck. McDowell had a spring race pole start. Led 5 laps, finished 16th in both races here last year. Which are both of his best career finishes at this track. And a lot of the heavy hitters for both the race win and the pole will be tomorrow. I should say the race win tomorrow, and then the pole, obviously, today are going to be up after McDowell. Following McDowell will be William Byron, then Ty Gibbs, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Justin Allgaier, Christopher Bell, and the last driver to make a lap will be last week's winner at Phoenix, Ryan Blaney. Irina there, thanks for tuning in as well. Craig Holbrooks, welcome to the stream. Love the channel, way better than the one I used to watch. Wilkes County, North Carolina. Be getting your race at North Wilkesboro this season. Points paying race at that. I'm excited for that one. I was curious to see what a 300 to 400 lap at North Wilkesboro would look like with these Cup cars. And with more than half the field on the racetrack at once, I think it's going to make for a very, very fun and entertaining race. Slick out in the summertime should be a lot of fun. Probably one of my more personally highly touted races for this season that I'm eager to watch. But appreciate the kind words and thanks for tuning in. Final break in the action, and as soon as they come back on Prime Video, we're going to have our last 9 drivers for qualifying. So again, the next 5 drivers will be Michael McDowell, William Byron, Ty Gibbs, Denny Hamlin, and Tyler Reddick.
Hitting the ground with all the speed that you have.
Drivers. Just seems to find a little something extra.
Well, he could do that, but I'm telling you, Michael McDowell is a hidden gem as far as the team leader and the things that he can do within your organization. We saw that at Front Row Motorsports. I think that Michael not being there is one of the key pieces that they miss in helping them guide their car, being in the shop, talking to the team and the crew chiefs and making good decisions.
Well, big lift there. I think he went right through that bump. He went for it. Yeah. But let's go back to that. There ain't many people with more experience in the Cup Series more than Michael McDowell. A lot of experience behind the wheel for that race car.
Not going to be the lap that he hoped for. 22nd, 29.65.
But that's the commitment that you have to have, and whether the car bottoms out, pushes, slides sideways, we saw it with Noah Gragson, and right there with Michael McDowell. If you're going to have a decent qualifying lap, you have to be committed to going wide open through turns 1 and 2.
I think he was about 3 feet too low through 1 and 2 compared to these fast cars, and I think it got him in that bump and got him in trouble.
Yeah.
This is a car that just went through that bump that I'm just talking about, but that one didn't take off and
the distance paid off for him as he headed down the back straightaway with that gain in lap time because of the shorter track distance. But he's going to be close to giving that up off of turn 4.
Don't forget he's going to lose a pit spot on this too.
He is second to Ryan Preece by 1/100th of a second after winning here 3 years ago. So right now, a Ford Chevy front row. We'll see how long that lasts as Ty Gibbs is up for his run. Gibbs was 13th in practice.
And full of confidence with this driver. This is something new.
Back-to-back top 5 finishes.
Yeah, you see that car go over those bumps as well, and just absorb them and just paid off for him down the back straightaway.
Completely sloped it up, didn't he, Kevin? You nailed it. Absorbed those bumps.
He said never even affected it. He's headed for another zip code.
I think that's what you're going to see out of all these Gibbs cars.
Yep.
He ain't going to be the only one.
29.
Great lap by Ty Gibbs. Top of the leaderboard, 29.063. And as I mentioned on the broadcast, back-to-back top 5s coming into this weekend for Gibbs. We'll see if he can keep that hot streak alive. That lap was almost a 10th.5 faster than Ryan Preece, who had the previous fastest lap. William Byron, who went out just before him, was 3rd fastest. And on to Denny Hamlin in the number 11. Hamlin was the pole sitter last fall, and he ended up going on to win that race. We shall see if he's going to do much of the same here as well. Right now, ghost car-wise, between Hamlin and Gibbs, it is Hamlin out in front. Off the exit of turn 4 will hold it. Denny Hamlin, top of the leaderboard, 29.003. So my prediction from back in practice, I figure we'd be in the high 28s for the pole time. That still could be true. We have not broken a 29-second lap time yet. Tyler Reddick, one pole this season, which came at Coda. It's a love-hate relationship with Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as the driver of the 45. And he is trailing off of what his owner, Denny Hamlin, was able to put down in qualifying. Tyler Reddick has a runner-up finish in 2024 in the spring race here. He has 6 top 10s in his last 9 Las Vegas starts. So pretty consistent, but hasn't broken through to victory lane at this track yet. Despite being a little bit off of his teammate Denny Hamlin, it's still fast enough for third. And the Toyota's bringing the speed yet again this weekend, 29.168. They have been very fast out of the gate nearly anywhere we have gone. Obviously, Reddick winning the first 3 races, but even last week, outside of Ryan Blaney, it was all Toyota and the leaderboard behind him for most of the day. Finishing order would dictate that as well. Christopher Bell finishing in second. Hamlin, Gibbs in the top 5. Bubba Wallace 6th. Reddick finished in the back half of the top 10. Kyle Larson on for his qualifying lap. 3-time Vegas winner is Larson. He led 61 and 129 laps across both races here last season. Not going to be quick enough for the pole. 29.103. It's going to be third fastest. He was one of our voting options in the chat poll. And he put up a valiant effort, about 1/10 of a second off of his buddy Denny Hamlin. So Hamlin is still the top time for qualifying. 3 drivers to go. Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, and Ryan Blaney. Justin Allgaier in the 48 already went. For some reason, he was on our leaderboard in the 23, but that was Bubba Wallace. So never mind the fact that it says Justin Allgaier in third right now, but it is Bubba. 29.068 for that lap time for Bubba. His best career finish is 2023 in the spring race, 4th place for Bubba Wallace. So Christopher Bell and Ryan Blaney going to be next. They're the last 2. Bell first. Bell runner-up, finish in the 2023 fall race, his best, and Ryan Blaney's best here, 3rd in the 2024 spring race. Good long-run speed last year for Blaney, and Christopher Bell, obviously a runner-up to Blaney last weekend at Phoenix. Bell did lead over 170 laps in that race out of the 312. Won a stage, finished 2nd in the other stage, a solid points day. Gained so many spots and points. He was fastest in practice a little bit ago, and he's going to be to the top of the leaderboard in qualifying, and that is going to be a time tough to beat for Ryan Blaney. 28.853 with a 187.156 mile per hour average. 1, 2, 3. Joe Gibbs Racing in qualifying thus far. Blaney and Team Penske as a whole struggled in practice a little earlier. We'll see if they have a pickup for qualifying. Right now, a slight pickup from where they were in practice, but nowhere near the top 10 out of both the 22 and the 2 so far, and even the 21 for Barry, the affiliated teammate at the Wood Brothers. More of an advantage than those other 3, though, because he is the last driver to go out. He's got a decent pace to that of Bell. Bell, the only lap time, sub 29 seconds. And Blaney, a pretty good lap, 6th fastest with a 29.160, much better than his Penske counterparts, but not inside the top 5. So there you have it. Christopher Bell on the pole for tomorrow's Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas. And it'll be Denny Hamlin starting on the front row with him in 2nd. We're going to get interviews from at least Christopher Bell, our pole sitter, maybe Denny Hamlin, who will be starting 2nd in the race as well. I'll let you listen into that. And then we will go over the full field leaderboard beyond that. 4th career pole at Las Vegas for Christopher Bell. Still has not won a race here. We'll see if he can do that again tomorrow. Coming off a great weekend last week. And Denny Hamlin, the site of career win number 60. We'll see if he can get 61 this weekend. Same racetrack. 3rd career front row for Hamlin at Vegas. And here's Denny.
This weekend, good on the long run and best on the short run.
Yeah, they're all the Toyotas look really strong, and it's got that good feel that I'm looking for in the car. A great lap by Bell, awesome 3 and 4. We just barely missed the balance slightly there in qualifying, but still, I'm not sure we would have had enough to run that kind of speed. So we're built for tomorrow, and hopefully we get the same result we had here last time.
All right, great qualifying effort. Best of the year for Denny Hamlin and the 11 team. Larry.
Yeah, Jamie, I'm with the pole sitter, Christopher Bell. Christopher, you just told me the car's got grip. That makes my job easy. You've had grip all day long.
I
I think I have. Yes, the Interstate Batteries Camry feels really nice. Just I don't know. I've talked about this a lot, throughout the last couple of races, but just super super proud of my team, and we're finally getting back to where we need to be, and it feels good. I mean, we used to be able to qualify really well on these intermediates, and then I don't know. It feels like we just fell a little bit off, and now we got it back. So my engineers, my crew chief, my mechanics, my pit crew, everybody's been doing such a good job in 2026. It's so fun to drive this number 20 car, and yeah, I'm excited about tomorrow.
Mike, he's done about everything but win at this mile-and-a-half track. And your point earlier, they get that #1 pit selection.
Yep, #1 pit selection and obviously a pole position for Christopher Bell. Pretty big to start up in the front of any NASCAR race. It seems like nowadays this next-gen car feels just so close from top to bottom. Track position means a ton, even on these mile-and-a-half tracks where we probably see more passing than any other style of racetrack across the series. So here is your full field starting lineup for the Pennzoil 400 tomorrow at Las Vegas. On the front row, all Joe Gibbs racing, just as we had last fall, but instead of Briscoe, it is Christopher Bell on the pole for the fourth time in his career, and Denny Hamlin, a third career front row start here. He started on the pole last fall, second this spring. Ty Gibbs, another Joe Gibbs Toyota, alongside another Toyota for 2311. Bubba Wallace will make up row 2. And row number 3 will be the three-time Vegas winner Kyle Larson, alongside Ryan Blaney looking for his first track win. Former runner-up Tyler Reddick and the inside of row 4. Ryan Preece, who's impressive in qualifying today. William Byron, Chris Buescher round out the top 10. Byron trying to go for his second spring Vegas win. Austin Dillon will start in row 6 on the inside. Zane Smith to the outside. In row number 7, Daniel Suarez and Eric Jones. Behind them, row 8, Chase Elliott, Shane Van Gisbergen. And rounding out the top half of the field, Ross Chastain and Chase Briscoe in row number 9. Row 10 for Carson Hocevar and Vegas native Riley Herbst. Joey Logano, the 4-time Vegas winner, alongside Justin Allgaier, filling in for Alex Bowman with that illness again this weekend. That will be in row 11. Row 12 will be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and another Las Vegas native, Kyle Busch. Rookie Connor Zilch alongside John Hunter Nemechek in row 13. Row 14, Todd Gilliland and Brad Keselowski. AJ Allmendinger and Michael McDowell, couple series veterans in row 15. Row 16 will be Austin Cindric and Josh Berry, last year's spring race winner. Cody Ware, Noah Gragson in row 17, and row 18 rounding out the field, Cole Custer and Ty Dillon. That is your full field starting lineup for tomorrow's race. We'll be live at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, beginning with our pre-race show for tomorrow. We'll be live for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race today on the channel at 5:30 p.m. Eastern in just over an hour from now. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry for the slight lag there during the middle of the stream for about 5 to 10 minutes when we did have the internet go out. We got it reconnected. Hopefully we will not have any issues with that going forward for the rest of the weekend. Thanks for sticking around throughout this stream. And again, I will see you guys in about an hour, and as well as tomorrow afternoon if I don't see you later today. Thanks for watching, everybody.